special virtual engagement session by Faith Foundation. And so today we're looking at a very, very important, an important area or subject or, aspect as far as mitigating the risk that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought to our economy is concerned. So we're going to be looking at the CBN support fund, the Economic Stimulus Support Fund that CBN has made available for small businesses and how we can actually tap into it. But what I'm just going to do is to do a quick run through of what the application process is like. I've been getting a lot of feedbacks from people saying that they find it difficult to complete the online form, right? So what I want to do is to run you through what the application is like. And by the time I'm done with that, Jerry is going to provide a high level, deeper understanding. And, he's going to be available to answer all your questions to us pertaining to this form. Right. Some feel that this fund is not, it's not real. It's just a myth, and all of those things that usually Nigerians have about whatever is coming from the government. But well, Jerry is here, so he's going to be answering the questions by the time I do a quick run through. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now so that you can all see and follow what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I'm hoping that my screen is live. Can I get a feedback from Akinwumi or someone?
Yes, your screen is live.
Okay, thank you very much. So the first stage is to actually visit the link. We've shared the link on virtually all of our platforms a number of times. That's www.nmfb.com.ng/COVID-19-support. That's the homepage for this targeted credit facility for COVID-19. So once you get on the website, so I'm not going to be saying too much about the fund since we already have Jerry here. A number of us already have a high level information, so Jerry is going to help us with that. The bit I'm going to focus on is a quick run through as to how to apply, to apply for this form. Okay, so once you land on the page and you scroll down, you will see sections that shows those who are eligible to access the funds. So you can see households, MSMEs, corporate enterprises at different categories. So again, if you're an entrepreneur and you've not yet registered your business with the Corporate Affairs Commission, you might want to do the household route. But if you registered your business, so usually we expect that every of our alumni have a running business, right? So if you've registered your business and it's within the category of micro and small business, so you can take the route of the MSMEs. And we now have the corporate enterprise also for large businesses. So here you find the apply now for household. It takes you to a form to fill. The same form also applies to MSMEs. Is the same form you also find here. The only difference is the category that you're going to choose by the time you're filling the form. Then you will observe that underneath the apply now, we have the mini SME business plan. Now, it's important at this point I make it very clear that you can actually complete this application without having to make any payment whatsoever all through the process. So what CBN have done is to engage a third party who could help speed up the process or who could help ensure that the delivery is faster to people that are applying for credit. And what's the intervention that this third party is bringing? They have a platform that can help create a workable or bankable business plan within few minutes. So the whole idea of this platform is to help you create a workable business plan within few minutes. And I'm also going to, try to run through that to see how that works, right? So you can click on apply now to start the application process. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me open it in a new tab. Apply now in a new tab. Okay. Okay. So once you do that, you find yourself on this form. And on this form, there are certain parts of the form that it's very, very important that it's required for you to fill. So first question says, select how the pandemic COVID-19 directly or indirectly affects your business. So is it cash flow or drop in sales challenges? Is it loss of business or customer patronage? Is it loss of ongoing contracts? Is it your inability to meet key demands for the product? Is it increase in price of major production inputs due to supply chain challenges from key economies? High imports from China and things like that, right? So in this case, I'm going to be doing this hypothetically, for a business. So the assumption is that our cash flow has been impacted because we are not able to sell, we are not able to open up to customers, so customers are not buying. So the hypothetical business that I'm going to be using in this case is probably a hair ticketing business, right? So let's assume that I run a hair ticketing business. So as a result of the COVID-19, planes are not even flying. So there is significant drop in sales. There is loss of business and customer patronage. There is, of course, it has impacted some of our ongoing contracts. Perhaps we have some clients that would have loved to travel and have already booked their ticket, right? And they booked the ticket on credit, but now we are unable to, to fulfill that for them. Now, unable to meet key demands for products, depending on where you function. Increase in price of major production input due to supply chain challenges. So we don't have that concern. So those are the three key ones that concerns me. Then you get the question, is this your first time request? Meaning that have you obtained the any form of loan, from NESA, prior to now, or this is the first time you're requesting for any form of support fund? So this is the first time we're doing the first time. If peradventure, you've gotten some funds in recent times, you just say this is not your first time. Then here we have the promoter's name. So I'm just going to do Akinwale Anjorin. Okay, so that's an hypothetical name anyways. So I hope I don't forget. So let me copy and save this because I'll still need this for the other parts of the form. Okay, then the home address, number one. Shepherd Hill, Street, Magudo, Phase 2. Okay. Okay. Just put a number. So email address, I have to drop something significant here. So, okay. Okay. Then, okay. So I'm just going to freeze this then. Just 2 minutes. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay. So I'm on the second page. I'm on the second page. So I can see some already, asking questions. Yes, we're going to attend to the questions. Don't worry. Just keep following. We're going to answer all of your questions. So let me just use the same address. I'm during ticketing. Okay, business location. We are in Lagos State. Wherever states might be operating, just want to add that. Okay. Provide best in time. Here. Okay. Don't mind me for price sensitive customers. Right? I mean, whatever it is that is a business description, that's what you put there. Again, this is an hypothetical business, right? So I'm just putting that. Then what sector do you operate in? So there are some sectors that are literally pronounced here. So there is agriculture, hospitality, health, airline service provider, which is where the business belongs, manufacturing, trading, education, and others. If perhaps your business sector is not listed here, you can easily choose others and you enter what exactly the sector is. But for this case, airline service provider, right? So subsector airline service provider would belong to ticketing. So what are the company's products and services? Now this is a question that is not compulsory, so you can see that there is no asterisk here. I'm just going to put it there that sales of ticket, airline ticket, right? So number of employees, I'll just put 5. Then registration number, right? So that's hypothetical as well. Then, okay, business ownership structure, sole proprietorship. Now, this is speaking to how do you run it? Is it a sole proprietorship? So if it's a business name, it's either a sole proprietorship or a partnership, or if it's a limited liability company, you just state that there. Then how long have you been in operation? We've been in operation for 3 years. What's the director's name? Let me pick it from where I saved it. Akinwale Anjorin Ahmed. Okay. Okay. All right. I think I copied the 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. Okay. Okay, so the next question, I mean, these are all the generic questions that we have there. 18, April 28. Okay, director's email, I just put foundation.org. Okay. Okay, so in the case where you have more than one director, you want to complete the other part to indicate the additional information of the director. Then 27 speaks to which of the branch of NASA Microfinance do you want to deal with. So since we are in Lagos, I think they have 2 branches in Lagos. One in Ikeja. Our office is in Magodo, hypothetical office is in Magodo, so Ikeja seems to be closer, right? So whichever state you're operating in, you want to look at which of those is actually closer to you. Do you have a NASA Microfinance account? No, we don't. Next. What is your previous monthly expenses? This is another important question that we need to. Okay. So this is a very, very important question that you need to, you need to also think through while answering. Here, when you hear monthly operating expenses, it's speaking to what's the total expense. The way this form is designed is not complicated, it's not complex at all. Particularly those that have good knowledge of finance might actually make mistakes here, because you are trying to say that, operating expenses is different from cost of goods sold, all of those analysis. But here, the operating expenses is speaking to all the, the total amounts that you spend on expense as far as your business is concerned within the year 2019-2018. Now, what is your previous monthly gross profit, for 2018-2019? Gross profit speaks to what you have left after you've calculated your entire revenue for the, for the month, because this is monthly. You've calculated your entire revenue for the month, and you've calculated your entire expenses for the month, and you deduct your expenses from your revenue. What you have left is the gross profit in this case. So please, no complex financial calculation. It's as straightforward as that. So let's assume for our hypothetical business that the total amount we spend, every month on expenses is, let me say 2 million, 2 million naira, and the total gross profit that we make each month, it's about, so let me just do 1.5 million. Okay. Now, what is your current average monthly sales revenue? This is speaking to previous years. This is speaking to current. So there is the previous year that you have to highlight here. Again, please bear in mind that you will have to submit your financial statement in order to validate your claims. But this is the basic information that the form is collecting from you. So you will have to submit financial statements to be able to buttress or validate the information that is provided on the form. It's important to please take note of that. Okay. So for our current average monthly revenue, again, there's that tricky question, that tricky part that, some entrepreneurs might have. So, I mean, I actually came across this too when trying to provide advice to some of the people that reached out to me, right? What is your current average monthly sales revenue? Some might want to say that, this is our sales revenue now that we have, shut down, or that we have to lock down our business. No, it's not asking for that. Now, the the pandemic, became, the impact of the pandemic became stronger, towards late March in Nigeria. And this is April, right? So the information you're providing here still speaks to the early quarter of the year, because based on this information, you want to be able to validate if you'll be able to repay, your loan, right? Whatever amounts you're going to be asking for as, as credit facility at this time, these particularly should be able to show that you will be able to fulfill the obligation of that loan. So that's why it's important that, you don't just put 0 naira or zero whatever here. Because for airline ticketing business right now, you're not making any sales. You're not literally doing, perhaps the only thing you're doing is incurring expenses, in terms of rent, in terms of maybe paying allowance to your staff and things like that. But you can't just leave it blank. So you have to go to your current average monthly sales for the early quarter of this year before the pandemic became pronounced. So let's say for those business that we were able to move up. So our revenue was about 6 million before pandemic struck. I mean, a number of people traveled. Earlier this year, people were still going for conferences, for, some vacation and things like that. So what the current monthly expenses, again, this can be close to what you used to have, but because there is a slight increase in our expenses this year, it's now 2.5 million naira. So, right? So what's the current average monthly gross profit, of the business? Again, this is still speaking to the same thing. I mean, don't look at the 2020 behind this one and there's no 2020 here, there's no 2020 here. It's still speaking to the same thing. The revenue, the operating cost, and what you have after the time. So this is 3.5 million. Straight calculations, don't try to do any special deduction. The gross profit here is speaking to what you have before we even go to, tax. This is like we call it EBITDA, right? The earning before, all the interest, the taxes and all that, right? So, and to support this, please, I need you to take note of this email address once you open the form, right? Because you won't get the chance to get this email address once you go past this particular point. So you take note of this email address, tcf backstatement SME at nhmfb.com.ng. This is where you're going to send your bank statement to for validation. I know that there are some banks that can easily generate this using your online platform. And if you're not able to do that, maybe you want to send an email to your banking officer to be able to generate that for you. But you're going to need that to be able to fill that particular, that particular part. Now here you have to list your top customers and location. So if, for example, you have certain organization that you service, you want to list them here. And you have certain suppliers that supplies your raw material or that supplies your good, you want to list them here. The essence of this 34 and 36 is to further strengthening your application. So the kind of people that you supply as customers will revalidate or, more or less add more credibility to the kind of business that you run. And listing your major suppliers too will also validate that. It's not compulsory, and I'm just going to skip that. Okay, so this is another important thing. So here, the loan category that you want. Do you want a mini loan, which is about 3 to 10 million, or you want 10 to 15 million naira, or you want 15 to 25 million naira, depending on the kind of business that you run. But you must bear in mind that if you want to do the mini SME, remember that, let me just quickly take you back to the homepage for COVID-19 support. So I'm back to the homepage now, where you have the household, the MSMEs, the corporate enterprises. So here you have mini SME business plan, and you have the SME and SME plus business plan. The implication of this is that for businesses that are accessing loan, less than 10 million, you can do the mini SME business plan. But for those that are assessing more than 10 million, you have to do the SME and SME plus business plan, right? So this third party payment, varies for the business plan, right? So for the mini SME business plan, it's 5,000 naira for the platform to create your business plan. And for SME plus, it's 10,000 naira for the platform to create your business plan. So I need to bring that to your awareness, right? Because I'm aware that some people have created their business plan and they've not done the application. If the business plan you curated is a mini SME business plan, you cannot choose to, request for a loan that is more than 10 million. It's important we take note of that. And meanwhile, business plan is, it's no longer compulsory, right? CBN has taken off the compulsion as far as business plan is concerned, right? So, the thoughts around the business plan could now be that, do you want to validate the credibility of your business? Do you want to really be able to position yourself among several people that's going to be applying? I'm sure Jerry is going to give us an idea of how many people have requested for this loan. Again, we need to understand that the loan is 50 billion naira. So it means that it's a capped fund, it's limited, right? And CBN, through NASA Microfinance, which is the disbursing bank, we want to give the loan to the most qualified candidates, right? So, as much as the business plan, it's not important, it's been waived, you also want to, be positioned to be able to access it. So in this case, I'll just choose mini SME loan, 3 million to 10 million. So here is asking what's the collateral type for those business? Again, because this is not a grant, it's a loan, right? You need to be able to have certain, certain guarantees to be able to, that you can show to the bank. It could be certain asset that you can show to the bank to show that indeed you will be able to, repay the funds and all that, right? So I'm sure some of you have a number of questions around here. Now, you know that there is the National Collateral Registry that we have now, in Nigeria, that enables people to literally register movable assets, as part of a collateral registry, to access funding. So usually, that's the first thing that you can pick. Then, if you also have individual guarantor that is willing to stand for you, maybe has a good, good credit in his bank, is able to stand, for you, you can choose this, right? Then, if you want to be a personal guarantee, right, you want to put your own assets, whatever it is, you can also use this, right? Then there is a comprehensive insurance over the assets, that you can also buy, right, using National Microfinance Bank as the first loss payee. So these are just, different options that you can choose, right? So depending on what is the value of each for you, you can combine, you can even select all if the kind of loan or the amount you're requesting for require, a lot of you're requesting a fund that we need all of this to be checked, right? So you can simply do that, right? Then it's important to note that once you've chosen, whichever collateral type you're going to be using, you forward the evidence. You forward the evidence to tcf-collateral at nhmfb.com.ng. Now, this is like the second important document that you have to forward. The first one, the financial statements, the email, that we saw earlier on. Now, the collateral that you have to also forward as well. It's important that you send this document. So if you complete the form without sending this document, your application might not be assessed at all. So it's important that once you've submitted this form, you go ahead to send the evidence to the email provided. Eligibility for the facility shall be assessed using combinations of the required documents as listed below. Evidence of business operation within the COVID-19 impacted industry, such as aviation services, hospitality, hospitality around hotel, hotel and accommodation services, food services, agricultural commodity export, manufacturing, or its value chain and trading. And so these are like the key areas, right? But the fund is also available for those in some other areas. These are like priority areas. If your business is not directly in this area, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply for this fund. If you have evidence to prove that your business has been impacted by this, then you should just go ahead and apply for it. Then it's saying that 3-year audited financial statement and audited management accounts evidencing at least 50% drop in income due to COVID-19 related shutdown or lockdown of business activities. Now, from the financial statement you are sending from your bank, the one to be able to look at the record history. So what you do is that you generate most recent financial statement, right? So possibly you generate it the week that you are submitting your application. For example, now, if you do that today, there will be a significant, difference between what your inflow was as at January, February, March, vis-a-vis what it is now, right? But if you're able to do for 3 years, fantastic, right? So this is required. Then bankable plans to take advantage of the critical opportunities arising from the pandemic. So again, because the business plan has been waived, right? You can apply without the business plan, it's given. But now, when you have a business plan to show how you're going to take advantage of these critical opportunities arising from the pandemic, it's going to really add value to your application, right? So here, I can just select that I have those evidence, right? Then send evidence of business operations, that is 3-year audited financial statement and business plan, to this email address. So again, for those that have their own curated business plan, or those that use the available platform to create your business plan, by the time you're done creating the business plan, you can just send your business plan to this email address, right? CBN has waived business plan. But now, speaking to Faith alumni, we need to understand that the fund is limited and we want to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. So that's why we strongly encourage, you can't go through Faith Foundation program as an entrepreneur and don't learn how to develop business plan as part of the things that you go through, right? So either you learned it on the program and you've developed one, or you've contacted a third party to do it, or you're using the platform to create it. Whichever way, we just encourage from Faith Foundation perspective, right, that you have a business plan that you send to this email address along with your application. So this becomes the third important document that you have to send. So it's not just about submitting the application alone. You have to send your financial statement that you've created from your bank account, 3 years financial statement preferably. You have to send evidence of collateral. Then you have to send your business plan to the email provider. Okay. Now, this is the loan information aspect to say that, okay, what exactly do you want to spend the loan on? What do you want to, put the money, into? Is it to increase your inventory? Is it to expand your business? Is it to recruit or hire key employees? Is it to move your business to a new location? Is it to purchase? These are like generic questions that you have when you're applying for loan, right? So in this case now, number one, to cover an unexpected expense, because for us, we weren't expecting that some of those contracts that we had will go bad. We have made deposits with the airlines. The clients are good, but now clients are not going to pay because it's something called the force majeure, the act of God that has taken place. So we can't help it. So we will not be able to meet our own obligation. And if you have specific reasons, for example, that you need to be able to manage your operations at those times, you need to, whatever it is, for example, here to augment our working capital requirement is also there. So you might want to list it there, right? Okay. Then, do you want working capital? Now, here, I strongly suggest that you pick a no, right? I strongly suggest that you pick a no. Perhaps Jerry might want to also shed light on this by the time is answering his questions. I strongly suggest that, because this is not essentially a working capital loan, right? But if you have a stronger reason as to, as to, applying for working capital, yeah, you can choose that. But this is actually a term loan that the purpose is straightforward, is to cushion the effects of the COVID-19 impact on businesses, right? So it's better you don't go that route. So what's the loan amount that you're requesting for? So in our case, we're going to be requesting for, let me just put 8 million naira. Okay, let me do 7 million naira. Again, it is a loan, it's not a grant, right? So don't just put any bogus number. Put numbers that you really need. And if you don't need it, in fact, if you don't need the credit facility, don't even apply for it, right? Because you're obligated to pay for it. The only difference is that there is a moratorium of 1 year. However, you still have to pay back, right? So it's important to bear that in mind. So propose tenure in months. So we can say 36 months. That's like 3 years. The maximum you can actually do is 3 years. Then propose moratorium in months. So maximum you can do is 1 year. So that's 12 months, right? Do you have an existing loan? So either you have an existing loan with a commercial bank or with another microfinance bank. If you do, you should click yes, right? But if you don't, just click no. How did you hear about us? From a friend, CBN, all of that. So order, right? We heard about them through Faith Foundation. Okay. So I hereby declare that the information provided is true and correct. I agree, blah, blah, blah. Then, just submit. And that's it. So this is the entire process as far as filling the form is concerned. I know that there are a number of questions that people have posted in the chat section. And so the link is shared, so you can see the link and we can share. Okay, all right. So we'll share the video, for those that are not able to get maybe clear video, clear audio or whatever it is right now. We're still going to share that with everyone. So once you get to this point, you submit it. And again, remember that there are 3 documents that you need to submit alongside: the financial statement, the collateral evidence, and the business plan, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop at this point, because the business plan is not a compulsory part of it, right? We're going to take questions. We're going to take questions from everyone. We're going to engage Jerry. So when we are done engaging Jerry, then I'm now going to run you through how to fill the business plan aspect. The business plan aspect. Again, thank God Jerry is here. He's going to give a position of, business plan again. He's going to reiterate it again, right? So, but after the entire conversation, for those that will still want to go ahead with the business plan, I want to run you through that. But at this point, I would like to welcome Jerry. Jerry, are you there?
Hello, Aki.
Hi, Jerry. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for, for granting us the audience, particularly at a very short notice. We really, really appreciate this, and we don't take it for granted. So Jerry, as I mentioned earlier on, he's the business head in charge of multiple divisions, including the credit management at Nasser Microfinance Bank, which is the disbursing bank for this particular facility. And he's also the chairman of the implementation committee for this. Right. So Jerry, please, you want to quickly provide us an overview of what the grant is about, the requirements and all that, before we now go to the questions. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Aki, and everyone. I'm highly privileged to join this session, and thank you for everyone that has dialed in as well. Once again, just like Akin said, my name is Jerry Osagi. I look after credit management, strategy, digital finance, as well as business development. So I may want to start my video, but you know, I'm at home, but I could just snap it, so you might not be seeing me too well.
Okay.
So good. So why was this? Number one, let's get this straight. It's a loan and it's not a grant. So why are we here? And why do we have the COVID-19 targeted credit facility? Because of what we have seen today in terms of the disruption in the global supply chain as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And for us to be able to stimulate the economy and also be able to answer to the questions that we know will be bothering both households and businesses at this time. So the Central Bank of Nigeria, of course, through the support of the federal government, is coming up with this stimulus as one of the 3.5 trillion naira stimulus that they're trying to, reactivate the economy with. So this is available to households as well as businesses. And we're looking at, take for instance, and I love to use examples, you're an airline service provider. So you provide catering services on, let's say, one of the major airlines, international or local. Now you have a particular contract for the next 1 month, 3 months that you need to make sure you provide catering services on their flights every day, maybe like 20 aircraft. You have purchased a lot of things upfront. All of a sudden, there's a lockdown all around the world. You have spent money, some of those things will go bad. You have staff that you needed to pay. So you are badly hit because you are in a major sector that took one of the biggest hit, and they're looking about the loss of $350 billion loss worldwide. So you must be able to bounce back if the lockdown is over. The airline is just going to call you, let's say it's over by this weekend. They're just going to call you on Monday that, 10 flights are going out on Tuesday. We need you to just serve them. Nobody cares where you get that money for. They just want to see your. So that is one of the things that is here. So that is it. Secondly, just to summarize what Akin, because Akin has said a lot, is that this loan for household, we have a maximum of 3 million, and who are household? You can be those that are working. Some might have lost their job as a result of this pandemic, and that is why you have a moratorium up to 1 year. So you might be able to get that job back, and you can get some money for yourself to be able to pay rent and do some things. Some might be small businesses. Some might be traders. They fall under household, and it's a maximum of 3 million. So it's essential for us to know. Then businesses is up to 25 million, but we've been able to break them down into those mini SME, SME, and SME plus. So you want to take between 3 and 10 million, and you must have something to back it up. You want to take between 10 million to 15 million, or you want to take between 15 million and 25 million. Very, very critical and essential for us. Akin actually took everything step by step, but I'm just going to further clarification on the business plan. He has made that clear. The business plan is no longer compulsory, but for you to show seriousness, and also the business plan is automated, which can calculate in terms of internal rate of return and your profitability and something, it might be advisable for you to either do a business plan yourself or use the optional automated. But the central bank has come up, updated is that as a microfinance, that there's no need, okay, we take it away from the guideline. It's not really compulsory. Also, the application guide is there for us to always read the application guide before we start. If we look in front there, you will see the application guide as well. Another thing that is important for the business people is that it must be a registered business. So it's not for startup, it must be an existing business. It is not for startup. It must be an existing business. We expect that your account should be audited, but if it's not audited, it's fine. When your account statement is used, we will be able to sort that issue. We'll be able to sort that issue when your account statement is used. So we need to look at that end as well. Something that is also critical for us to look at is that for businesses, I'm concentrating a bit on businesses because I know a lot of us are business people. 3 key things are important in what we're looking for. It's your turnover, or you might want to call it your free cash flow or your net cash flow, your average or annually. We're looking for your profitability, which means that is if you're able to make profit in the past, it means when you get more money, you will be able to pay back. And finally, your business experience. This tells us that when you have all those things, your business is sustainable. That is very, very, very critical as well. Another thing is that the loan is not advisable and we're not using it to refinance other loans. So they are looking at immediately solving problem as paying salaries, solving problem as augmenting your working capital, and finishing up jobs that you've been given. You've been able to recruit key staff. All these things are some of the essential things that we need to do. Now, if you successfully apply, what are the next steps? So before we go to questions, I just needed to quickly jump there. If you successfully apply, what are the next steps? We have a set of people who will look at your documentation. So that is why we're telling you that when you apply, we know a lot of people, we are catering for those that are tech savvy and those that are also not tech savvy. But we need to make sure we have the data, and that is why this application is online. So you must be able, we will review the documentation in line with your submission, the one you ticked. If we cannot find your document, which means the applicant did not submit the document, we will reach out to the applicant to submit those documents and expect that the documentation are returned or supplied within 72 hours. And if it's not supplied within 72 hours that we have notified the applicant, the application is automatically declined. Why are we doing this? When you are dealing with a lot of people, decision making should be faster so that people can go and reapply when they have the documentation. As I speak to you today, within 2 weeks, we have about 100,000 applications, of which 15% of that constitute SMEs, so about 15,000 SMEs, and 85,000 households. So it is important that we recognize speed. I'm also glad to tell you that as we speak, the first set of some part of the people that they have reviewed, decision has been made, and they're expecting the first set of approval in the next few days. So some people might be getting the disbursement before the end of the month. Also, when you review our document, the next thing is that we are praised. We understand that a lot of people are at home at this point in time. That is why we have to be creative. In addition to some of the tools we put in place, we will also contact you to be able to do an appraisal online. So some people can decide to give fake information online, get fake information, but of course the account statement will say something. We'll still go ahead. When we're giving you offer letter, if you qualify, your disbursement is subject to validation of the information you provided or what our own verification tells us at the end of the day. If you are approved, you are going to be notified. If you are declined, you will be notified as well. After post-approval, you will be seeing people working with you on verifying your information, your KYC. If you are opening an account, you see people working with you on that as well. And you'll be verifying your collateral. So if you tell me today that you're dropping a car document, we don't need your car. And you are sending it to us for us to have the car document, not giving us the original, just scanning it to us. We are able to use the chassis number to check on the National Collateral Registry to be sure that you have not used that particular vehicle as a collateral on another loan before. Once that is verified, then we'll be able to use it for your loan.
Okay.
And if you're an SME, we're looking at you having about 70% movable asset value. Say I want to collect a 5 million naira loan. If I have a car and one other thing, a moving asset that could get up to 3.5 million, and I've sent those documentation, that is a simple thing about moving assets. It's used worldwide to be able to make collateral easier. So this is not more of a collateral lending. If you look at it, the strongest collateral, you see that most things you see guarantor there.
That's right.
One thing we also let you know is that we are activating global standing instruction. So if people do not pay this loan, that is activated when we explore every other means of collection. So we are able to debit that person's account anywhere in the banking industry. But that is when the person refuses to pay. Very critical. We are also going to be doing a credit search on you as a business and as the director of the business. So credit bureau check will be done. So it's not that you shouldn't have a loan before. The idea is we want to see your credibility in terms of character. Very, very significant. So if you have a bad loan elsewhere before, you might need to go and look at it, because that can stall your disbursement. Very, very important. Another thing that is key for us to talk about is domiciliation of proceeds. So you're doing business, we expect you to be able to say, okay, even if you are not going to domicile 100% of your proceeds. So if you have never gotten a credit before and you got a 10 million credit, this is a financial institution that have pushed and you've gotten that thing. They expect that you have to continue to do business on your account. That shows the economy that there is an economic activity going on that account. If you are using another bank before and you have credit there, let's say you have a 20 million credit or a 5 million or a 10 million credit, you are not giving another 10 million credit. It means that there is a balance. So you must be able to put some domiciliation here and domiciliation there. So when you're a big business, you understand this. If they take loan from about 5 banks, their domiciliation is shared. So it's just to also manage relationship and understand you are doing business. That is very critical. For those who are looking at a household, like I said, it doesn't have to be the people working, the people who also are self-employed, and the people who might have just lost their job. So people might have complained, I can't get my account statement. But you'll be shocked that over 40% of the people are sent in account statements. So people are
did you say over 40% of applicants have sent in account statement? Okay.
Yes. So when other people complain to you, you see different people either using their internet banking, some are calling the account officer, some are calling the contact center. Needs to be able to use a technology called My Bank Statement, where we have about 13 banks that's already signed up, so that with your consent, for those who are using those banks, we can pull up your account statement and be able to review when we get to that.
So what did you call the mechanism you used to do that?
So it's called My Bank Statement. So that is left for the bank, for the people, as we go ahead. Well, you understand? Right now, that is still in the works. You get, but okay. We're just trying to say people are giving excuses. It is tenable. I agree with you, but we must also try our best. So we're looking at different ways when people are at home to be able to communicate approvals as well and be able to validate and see how we take our offer letters, especially for the states that are not under lockdown and seeking the support of central bank as well. So this is just the background I want to give. I'll be happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. I mean, that's additional insights that, I couldn't have provided in any way that you've provided, and thank you so much for that. So we have a couple of questions actually, and I think I can see one here from Sunday. He said, I've applied for the loan for 3 months and no response from NASA on the state of my application. I'm gradually losing hope in that loan. Maybe I will have to try other banks. Just that my money paid to get the business plan on their website is a waste, not too good. Well, so for those that have applied like
Sorry, Aki, the person said I've applied for 3 months.
3 months.
That is not true.
Okay.
Because this loan was, this COVID-19 targeted credit facility was declared and was circulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The guideline came out towards the end of March. And this was launched precisely March ending. So the person might be talking about another loan.
I guess it's referring to AXMI's loan. Yeah, it's referring to AXMI's
So
loan.
if we want to talk about AXMI's, we talk about AXMI's sometimes. You understand? And
yeah.
Yes, so I don't want us to confuse this
yes.
audience. It is important that we stick to the discussion.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. Then someone also mentioned that she hasn't received any response from NASA, even though she had submitted her application. Though she's not specific about when she submitted her application. So maybe the general response would be that from what time to what time, the people apply, those that are already getting their responses, so that that can be as a guide.
All right, thank you very much. So this is a very, it's a loan that we've gotten a lot of people. So between us, we're trying to see, we're looking at a 2 weeks to 3 weeks to be able to, at every point in time, if you apply, we must be able, apart from the initial response you got, if you have issue with your application in terms of documentation and all those things, you will be getting a response that this is not complete within a week. If you don't get that, it means you'll be expecting to be interviewed. If they need more information from you and your loan is not declined based on the information you give, you will be getting an interview within the second week. So that is very, very critical as well for you. And we expect to receive an approval from the central bank in another 1 week. So it's like a 3-week cycle that we're looking at.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay. Akin, if you look at Q&A part, someone says on the platform.
I didn't get that.
Hello?
Yeah. Fatai, please go ahead.
Yeah.
You can read the question. Just read the question so that Jerry can respond.
That is what I just read. He says, how safe is it to give BFA number on the platform? The person is referring to NESA microfinance platform.
See, a bank is asking you an information. Today, yes, the BVN is like your identity verification in the financial system. I need the BVN. It's important because they need to validate the BVN.
Okay.
And it's safe. So it's a bank. Once the bank asks you, you're applying and make sure you're going to the right platform. That is why it's important to go through the website when you want to do an application.
Okay, thank you. We have some questions around businesses that are just starting or that just started. Are you saying categorically that businesses that are just starting, they are just, it's a startup? Are they allowed? Because I could see about 3 questions in that regard.
You will agree with me. If the person wants to do a startup, I would advise the person go on to AXMIS and see if it falls within the sector for AXMIS. Don't forget, this particular loan has a purpose, and that purpose must not be defeated.
Okay.
So if today let's say you're a startup, you're actually doing well, you started 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and you're getting something, I really need a loan, and you feel you're affected, maybe you go to household loans, but not on this particular loan, because you won't have enough data and enough account statement to be able to back up your loans.
Okay, great.
So it's not for startup.
Okay, fair enough. Someone is asking, what do you mean by irrevocable domiciliation of proceeds?
Okay, thank you very much. Irrevocable domiciliation of proceeds. Proceed is sales proceed. So if, for instance, I am the one giving you 100% of your loan requirement, I expect you that the sales you are making, you are using your account. So irrevocable domiciliation of proceed means you are going to be using the bank in terms of your transaction, because I want to be seeing your transaction and that you are not diverting money. Because let me tell you, based on my experience in lending, we have a lot of bad behavior. Sorry, I had to use that language. I've issued over 300,000 loans. And I can tell you, having done that for SMEs like almost 20 years, there are so many bad behavior. So those things is just to control behavior, to be able to say that you use this bank, we're giving you a credit. We want to see if you are selling. Let's see what happens. Are you selling? Your account is not showing that you are selling. Because people collect loan, that is the next time somebody remember that there is a guy in my village that has bought a land beside my father's house, and he wants to show that he has money. And the person take the loan, and relationship management makes sure that you are able to see management of that loan. So some just consider it as domiciliation of proceeds. And I've tried to explain that. If you're even using another loan, another bank before and everything, you don't necessarily need to give 100% of your sales proceeds in your account with NISA Microfinance Bank. You just need to show that you are also doing business and you have taken loan to NISA Microfinance. And they must be able to see that you are selling, you are transacting on your account, and you are doing business, and you don't just take money and just go and do whatever you like with it. They are going to be monitoring those loans.
Okay, thank you. Another person says, if one had already applied for AXMIS and waiting for interview, can one still apply for the COVID-19 loan?
Okay, that question has come a lot, and has come from a lot from the Enterprise Development Institute, which are the guys that train for AXMIS. And my answer to them is always outright no. Number one, we need to educate the applicants. Somebody is struggling as a small business. He has a light manufacturing or trying to do something, fish farm, let's say, for instance. You have opportunity for a loan up to 5, 6, 7 years. You can take up like 6 million or so. You can still get like a year moratorium, so your repayment can be flexible. That's a loan that could take 2 years before, but it's been changed, and now within 1, 2, 3 months, if not for this pandemic, there's about an interview for 16,500 people that would have started April 2nd. And you now saw COVID-19 and you jumped to it. A 3-year maximum term loan, a maximum moratorium of 1 year, which means you have 2 years to repay and you're going to have huge repayment. They are two different things. So I tell them it's not advisable. If we see you on AXMIS and you're coming for COVID, we decline the COVID.
Okay. Okay.
Because we need to save people from themselves.
Okay. Someone says, what if the business started last year? Must we have 3 years business plan?
No. Business plan? No. Say for instance, you started a business January last year. You can apply now for COVID. It's important, they will look at that, your 1 year account statement. And look if it's not, there's what we call check kiting and a lot of all those things. When you juggle turnover, they will look at it and not see that those turnover are just juggled. And if they're able to pick out those values, I think you can be lucky and get an approval.
Another person says on financial statements, will bank accounts suffice? Getting a
Yes,
fully
now that's
prepared.
bank statement.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, that is the most important thing we are using.
Okay.
You understand? Because we recognize that how many people are audited. How many people? You know, in Nigeria, we haven't grown to that level. A lot of small business, even businesses that are doing turnover of 100 million, you won't see audited financials. And you see somebody doing 100 million, people have called me, Jerry, I'm sorry, I have a client, I've been doing this business in my name. And you are doing 200 million in your name, and you have a corporate account. You are not doing.
Okay.
I say everybody's running for tax. So how do we now? We all sat down today. We are asking the government, asking everyone, even me, I'm part of them, say, why won't you give us palliative? Why won't you do this? But nobody wants to pay tax. Okay. If they decide to say they want to credit all our accounts, well, for those that pay tax alone, they are in trouble.
It is well. In line with what you just said, someone said, what happened to business with personal accounts?
Go and apply for household. If you are not, it must be to come on the business SME. It must be a corporate account, a fully registered business, and you are operating. So it's your corporate account we want to look at. However, if, for instance, you have a corporate business, you are doing well, you are running it, then some people, maybe a year, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, a lot of money come into their personal account. Then they open the business. Then they channel those things. You could do a combination and send both statements. I mean, when I was in commercial banking, we do that for SMEs because we all recognize that some people started with their name, personal name, then they graduated into registering a business and they were doing that. But majority of what we are seeing is that till yesterday, people registered a company 10 years ago using their personal name, and today they want to come and use that company to borrow. How? It don't fly. So that person should go to household.
Okay. Another question is, when will tenure starts counting within the 3 years?
Okay, good. It is essential we'll explain that. The interest rate, and that's where I'll start from. There's a maximum 1 year moratorium. The interest rate is 5% per annum up till 28th of February 2021. What it means is that you're not going to enjoy 5% per annum for up to a year. Anytime your loan is booked, disbursed in your account, that is the day your loan starts counting. So let's take, for instance, somebody's loan is booked on May 1st. It means your interest from May 1st is going to run at 5% per annum from May 1st to February 28th, 2021. And from March 1st, 2021, it goes to 9%. 9% per annum is actually intervention loans rate. But because of the pandemic, one of the relief the central bank has brought is that let's reduce interest rate on intervention loan for now from 9% to 5% for at least a year. I mean, at most a year. And that was effective from 1st of March this year. So that's why you see that even in the guideline as well. So the tenor is 3 years, starts from the day it's booked. But note, by December 2024, the entire loan is going to be off. What it means is that if, let's say, this money is still available, the 50 billion is not exhausted, and you come in 2022, you will not get more than 2 years tenor.
Okay.
Because there's a final termination date because they don't expect to do bailout and intervention. Intervention always have a duration.
Okay.
That's what happen intervention. It's just to maybe activate or provide stimulus per time.
Okay. Okay, but after 1 year, would there be a moratorium?
No, now your moratorium.
No, what I'm saying is,
maximum.
If someone is applying, say March 2021, would that person enjoy any moratorium?
No, you still take moratorium now.
Okay.
The global tenor, the total tenor is 3 years.
Okay.
Within that 3 years, you have opportunity of a maximum 1 year moratorium, which means once you take 1 year moratorium, the remaining year for you to be able to repay is 2 years. So the longer your moratorium that you request for, the higher the impact of your loan installment. So somebody that took, maybe two people took 10 million, right?
Yeah.
One took 6-month moratorium, another took 1 year moratorium. The person with 6-month moratorium, when they start repaying, their installment monthly will be lower than the person that took 1 year moratorium, because that guy has 30 months to repay, another one has 24 months to repay. So you have that impact in terms of their amount they pay as installment. That is one of the effects of moratorium.
Someone says, kindly throw more light on providing collateral.
Okay, good. I would have loved the person to be able to say, okay, I applied for this. This is what I have. So one of the things is that, I mean, it's an interesting session because most time there's a lot of discussion around credit for the people that actually provides credit with the financial institution. So there's a lot of book and explanation, but you don't see opportunity for people who actually take the loan. Maybe sometime, maybe you guys will have to go online to look at my book, Borrowing Made Easy, which for now I could talk a bit about it. It's the only book in Africa written about how people can borrow. I think Akin, you can testify to that as well. Now, collateral, one thing we need to know when you want to borrow, please don't be afraid, and the first thing in your mind is collateral. An average financial institution, collateral is first the last thing in their mind. The most important thing when you borrow is the ability for you to generate cash flow to be able to repay. Collateral is the last resort. No bank wants to be selling house or selling movable asset. It's not the job of a bank. The job of a bank is cash. Their product is cash. Okay? So, for those in household, if you look at it, the most important collateral in household is talking about 1 guarantor, 2 guarantor. Yeah. A lot of them are saying, I even want to use my movable asset than guarantor. So some of them say, I have a generator that I use in my office. My house is worth 400,000 now. I have 1 car, 1.5. I want to collect 2 million naira. So this document, you have fulfilled the condition of the collateral of moving asset, provided you have not used those same collateral on another platform. You understand? Provided you haven't used it on another platform. Yeah. Now, secondly, when you go to business, movable asset is very critical for business, 3 to 10 million. You must provide 70%. So let's say you take 10 million. If you are using movable asset for that category, you took 7 million. At least you must provide movable asset documentation showing that they are your own with serial numbers that they can use to search on collateral registry. That will at least match a minimum of 70% of the value of that loan. So if you are taking a loan of 10 million, movable asset evidence that you provide, you say an asset of like 7 million. Now there is a guarantor that is reputable guarantor to be able to stand and continue to repay the loan in case you can't pay. There will be a credit life insurance for all the loans. So that one is a way to also support. But you see some people, when we put comprehensive life insurance, some people are so organized that they have a trustee. They have life insurance, borrow or to do anything. Put their life insurance document and say, you know what, if I default or anything, you can call it part of my benefit. take a benefit and pay to these people. There are people that do that. If you add that, it's an added advantage. Then, when you are going to 10 to 15 million, either you give a movable asset. You have a big generator. If your loan is 13 million, you have a generator, maybe you are bought at 30 million. The value is now 15 million. You can provide the document. And if you have not used it, borrow. Or a simple deposit of title is different from what we call legal mortgage. I can't do a lot of that lecture here now. You have a house. It has a C of O, or you have an R of O. That certificate of occupancy, certificate of residency, you have a deed of assignment registered, you have government consent on it and everything. That title will be validated from the land registry in any state. And the bank will hold on to it. That's a simple deposit. They are not doing anything. They are not registering it against the bank. Nothing. Between me and you, and I'm going to confess to you, in banking of today, simple deposit of title is actually not a strong collateral. So when I read a lot of analysts writing, CBN to remove, to do this loan is so difficult, I laugh. Because in the history of loans in Nigeria, let me not lie to you, it's like there's no collateral.
Okay.
If you read my book, when you see where I talked about legal mortgage and deposit, you know the difference between a legal mortgage, an equitable mortgage, and a simple deposit of title.
So I think we need a complete session on this collateral of a loan.
Hello?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello?
You were saying something, I wanted to hear.
Yes, I said it's like we need a whole session on this collateral of a thing, which we are going to take probably subsequently.
Not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
I know you've talked about this, but someone is still asking, please, what is the interest rate?
Sorry to say, it's actually on the guide. The person hasn't read. It's on the website. The person hasn't read. But the interest rate is 5% per annum from now till February 28, 2021. So if you book now, your rate still run at 5%. Once you get to that date, every rate changed back to 9% per annum, which is the rate for normal intervention loans in Nigeria.
Okay. Many individuals. Oh, this one is talking about Ask Me. Are you going to address anything on Ask Me, or we leave anything Ask Me?
I might not want to address Ask Me, but I might just give something when I'm about to close. I'll just talk a bit about Ask Me, but I don't want to address Ask Me. I don't want to lose the line of thought.
Okay, great. Someone is asking, like I earlier asked, can this loan be used to finance a new segment of an existing business of over 16 years? Over 16 years, yeah.
Can this loan be used to
finance a new segment of an existing business of over 16 years? I did love
to hear from that person. Can that person can the person, if you can open the mic, let the person talk about the business, what they're doing, and the opportunity? Because there's a part of the guideline, right?
Okay.
That say you are financing the impact of COVID-19 on you, and also the opportunities. So I take, for instance, based on the COVID-19, so you have an hotel. Majority of the issue that happen is that you're seeing that people are not staying in your hotel now. So you have invested, you're losing money, you need to pay salaries and all those things.
Yeah.
But you find out that one day you cooked and people are trying to call your hotel and say, we know you are closed. We use your hotel. Do you have rice? Do you have this? So you see that people begin to demand for food from your hotel, but they can't come and stay because of self-isolation and all those things.
Yeah.
then there is a need for you to now have a proper restaurant in that hotel or somewhere. It looks like a new business, but it's an opportunity for COVID-19.
Yeah.
And you can decide to establish and establish that restaurant well, even in the sub-compound of the hotel and all those things. Those are the kind of the things that's taking opportunities of what is happening on COVID-19.
Yeah, in line with what you just said, my own understanding of that question is, take for instance, someone has been producing a bag, the business is production of bag in the last few years. And because of the need for face mask, the person wants to go into manufacturing of face mask. I guess that's the point the person was trying to clarify.
Okay, part of my challenge for those kind of things is that I've seen people call me, I want to do face mask, I supply at 850. Face mask can crash next month. And if you know what we're talking about, we're already in post-COVID-19. So we need to change thinking. So every state government coming, they are going to produce face mask. Nigerian Air Force is going to produce face masks. Very soon, if all of us are to say we are stopping this lockdown tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of face masks. Yeah. How profitable is that person's projection? He would have projected face mask as 1,500. Between me and you, face mask is going to crash to 200, 150. So what happens?
Yeah, very correct.
Just thinking.
Okay.
So that the person doesn't run into trouble.
Okay. The person must have heard you directly. Fumilola said, please, is collateral required for household application?
The most important collateral you'll be seeing on household is basically moving asset and guarantor.
Okay.
Movable asset and guarantor.
Kabiru said, what is the percentage required as based for the loan in terms of household?
The percentage, I didn't get.
Yeah, I don't know. It's same percentage required. I don't know. Is there any percent?
The way you talk about, you need 70%.
Okay.
For SME loans for household.
Okay.
Even for household.
Okay, in terms of collateral.
If you want to use movable asset, your movable asset. If an household want to say, I want to collect 1 million, is it okay? But I have one laptop. That laptop is 150K. I have my generator at the back of the house. It's the movable asset are just those things you put together. Is making lending easier at that level. The majority just getting a credible and verifiable and reputable guarantor is also a strong stop for the household as well. So even if you get a moving asset, guarantor is compulsory for everybody.
Okay. Someone said, hello, I applied on March 31st, completed the business plan through simplified credit, April 10, and I have sent our account statement. No response yet from NISA. How do I know our status?
The person can send an email to that info or the TCF. There's a particular email on that site and ask for the update. Then Aki, you can also get the detail of that person and I'll tell them to check the database. But that's if they are not going to speak to the person any moment from today or so, because they are speaking to a lot of people as we speak, if there need be.
Can we extend that to?
I don't know if there's anybody on this call that has applied that is spoken to.
Is there anyone who has gotten a response from NASA on their loan status?
I've seen a lot coming on Twitter that, oh, I applied, they've spoken to me. I bet it would be good to know if a lot of us have applied or maybe we haven't applied. And somebody, you could just tell us how did the discussion go and everything like that.
Okay. I think we just go ahead with the questions. If I get anyone like that, I will let you know. So, I mean, thank you very much for that offer, Jerry. So what we'll just do is, for those that are within her alumni that have applied, that are yet to get response, we just collate their information and share with you so that you can do a run through from your back end, you know, to see how you can help with that. Thank you so much for that offer.
Okay, that person that got SMS, I'm sure the documentation wasn't completed because a lot of people put some wrong email address. So we also have to use SMS to also chase some people to be. We just needed to communicate, so we're using everything.
Okay. Then is it possible for one to do both household and SME at the same time?
What?
Is it possible for one to apply for both household loan and SME loans at the same time?
Why? That is why some people applied 15 times. We are seeing over duplication of application, which is not okay. So you are giving a lot of troubles to the reviewer and you are making the process slower.
Okay.
Because people complain that they've interviewed them twice, and it's because they applied more than once. So let's just pick one. I mean.
Okay. So a quick question here. There is someone who is into catering, and the business is about 9 months old,
What?
right? The business is about 9 months old, and the person is into catering services. So the person has 2 bank accounts. He has CAC registration document, and he has an active retainership with a client for catering services worth about 3 million naira per month. So he or she wants to know if you should go ahead and apply for this loan.
Yes, please.
So then, if the business does not have tax record, will this impact the decision?
Okay, we expect a lot of you to have that because if you are coming to open your account and everybody that they approve must open an account, even if you don't approve, you open an account because there's so many things you can benefit, ACMEs and every other intervention that is coming on normal commercial loans, which we start any moment from now. And those commercial loans are going to come at a cheaper rate than any other bank. You understand? So it's as important as citizens of this great country. Get your TIN number. When you are opening an account, is essential. Forget, you can always discuss with your taxman and everything like that. And let's pay tax. I mean, I'll tell you a secret. For the few people that know me, I fight with government officials. So I have a few friends on this platform. They know me. I will take you on up to any level. I'm a Lagosian. I have taken them up to any level. You take my car or anything, I will tell you before I speak to you or any commissioner, I call my tax number to you so that you know that, and I tell you to your face, I pay your salary, sir. So it's essential. I don't care. People will say we're Nigeria. For me, I don't care. I have said that, and I remember then one of the commissioner in Lagos State said, Jerry, in fact, the funny thing is that that is a current deputy governor today. He laughed at me one day, then was commissioner for works. I was like, Jerry, this is your tax. He's going to actually build the whole of this Lagos. So I say, yes, sir. Because I'll put it to your face. So it's important that we are not crucifying and saying your tax and everything is an added advantage, but we have to, as you're opening an account, you need to have your team because now CAC give you with your team. And open your account, you know, do your tax assessment and get a tax. Right now, you don't need to pay. You can get retainership of accountant that come to you and that you pay maybe, you know, a retainership of 20K per year or whatever. There are people that do it and they'll file all those things for you. I mean, so I'm sure Faith has a lot of all those stuff and Faith can always introduce you guys to all those things. So let's do. But right now, we are not doing anything to say tax or no tax and all those things. But it's essential that we pay tax.
Okay. Someone says, what is the minimum duration required for household on account statements?
What is the minimum duration for household account statement?
Required for household. I guess the person is referring to the number of months or years on.
So account statement, just give the last 1 year. That's all. Just pull the last 1 year, March to March, April to April, whatever. Do you understand the idea? Yeah. April last year to now. In fact, we were reviewing somebody and we're calling some people and appraising them online. And the person said, I'm also, Joe, I don't have account, I don't do this. I will say, sorry, you won't be able to get the loan. The next person we reviewed and we spoke to that day, he writes Keke Marwa. He writes Keke Marwa, that person. And what did the person do? He said, sir, I have 2 account numbers. He said, when I get home daily, next day, I deposit 50% of what I make in one account for the family, another 50% for the Keke Marwa business. I was amazed. He said, I will send my account statement, and the man sent it. And I told my guys, this person must get this loan. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So when people give excuse, the man drives a Keke Marwa. Do you understand me? A Keke Marwa, and it's that organized. In fact, as a matter of fact, his name is part of those that are on CBN for approval.
Wow. That's interesting.
Because right now, we have over almost 1,000 is awaiting approval as we speak right now, which will happen any moment from tomorrow next. That should be approved.
Okay, Jerry, someone is trying to find out if one can submit more than one account statement. I guess, the person is banking with different banks.
I can't hear you, please.
Someone is trying to find out if one can submit more than one account statement.
Yes, you can. If you have multiple account statements, you can. If you do business with IT industry, the likes of SPA, the likes of all of them, when you are doing their cash flow statement and everything, you will see their bank statement turnover from all their top 5 banks, all their banks. It's the combination of those cash flow that you're using working on their credit. You can't work on their credit with one bank in isolation, no. So if you have ABC Nigeria Limited, you have Zenith, you have GT, you have this, you submit everything together.
Okay. Akin, do you have some questions that you want to read out?
Yes. So what we are going to do is we are going to collate additional questions from the chat area and share with Jerry so that he can provide his responses. Then the ones we can pull from the guides, we just do like a FAQ kind of that we can use to support in answering the question, because we actually have a whole lot of questions. But I'll just take this. So someone said I made a little mistake. For length, I guess the tenure of the loan, he said I typed 3 instead of 36 months. How can the person correct that? Is there a way to correct mistake that's been made on the form? Or the person will have to fill the form again?
Either the person go and fill the form again because there's something we'll try to do so that you want to reduce editing, or the person sends an email. But between me and you, they are not going to take the 3 months. They are going to update you.
Okay. So it's just better to just do a new application entirely. Is that what you are suggesting?
It could reapply if you send an email.
Okay. Okay. So let me just see if there is one last question here that we can take before we will let you go. Okay. So someone said you should kindly post the title of your book and where to get it.
I don't know, is that on the platform or wherever? Just go to jerryosagi.com. I think it's active on there.
Okay, jerryosagi.com. Then is it possible to use movable assets of a parent or a director or a guarantor as a collateral? If one is applying.
Yes, you can. You can. With the concept, let me tell you, your colleague said, talking about collateral is a different explanation altogether. And this session actually validated some of the things I was doing yesterday night. And some of the things I was putting together is actually to do a write-up and an online course on understanding collateral once again. It's a full topic in my book as well. So that's what we call a third-party kind of collateral. What have we seen in the industry, in the financial industry? You have husband and wife that have it. They both own a house, or the husband owns the house, or the wife owns the house. One of them go and pledges as a collateral for a loan. Now, the loan, they could not repay. After many years, the bank tried and said, okay, let's call in the collateral. Let's repossess the property. When you get to court, sometimes, the wife or the husband, the other partner said, I am not aware that he used it. Such a thing, the bank can absolutely lose that case. And he said, that is the house we were living. So what financial institutions now do is that there must be the consent of the other partner that you are using the asset that you both own or that is aware of. One, in most financial institutions, you even have to come physically together to come and show that I am aware, and you sign that our house that we live in, they want to use it. The car that we drive, they want to use it. I don't know if you get. So that kind of third party, your parents, one of the things we'll be putting in place is that the person must show us, and we might even want to see them, that they consent to it. It is essential so that people don't go behind and say, Akin didn't go to work today. I just open Akin's card, take the card document, scan it, and I go and use it. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Akin needs to give consent that you want to use his or a movable asset.
Okay. Atai, do you see any question that you feel he needs to answer before he goes?
I think I don't see any new question apart from some repeated questions, really.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry. Before we let you off this call, we really want to appreciate you for your time. And as mentioned, we would like to still have you.
Somebody's talking about imputing financial on the business plan.
Oh, okay. You want to respond to that?
Maybe you'll be able to deal with that. You don't spend too much time on the business plan. You just have to make it simple. Yeah, the financial on the business plan, like you made mention in the application. See, one of the best books I've read, sorry I talk a lot about book. I kind of try to read a lot. That book, a book by a guy called Ran Chanran. Ran Chanran wrote a book, What Your CEO Wants You to Know. If you come across that book, it's a fantastic book. Ran Chanran is the same co-author of the book Execution. In there, profit, operation margin, profit margin, and all those things were broken down. So just look at, what am I selling? Revenue. My cost of goods sold. My every other operating expenses. What is left for me? Which, if you're a salaried person, you are looking at your net income, your salary. If you're a business person, some will call it the turnover, what is left. Some will call it free cash flow. Some will call it net cash flow. At the end of the day, the cumulative, you look at it, it gives you an annual in terms of gross that you have. I just want you to look at business as, don't let anybody confuse you. It's so easy, like the man, woman selling something and telling you that I bought one basket of pepper. When I bought it at K2My12, this is the amount I bought it at K2My12. When I left from K2My12, I entered and I'm going to a solo. I took Oshodi. They took me and it cost about 500 to get it home. I took one pure water. I did this. At the end of the day, this is how much I sell. This is my profit. We need to approach business that way. Every business, I'm sorry to say, is a retail business. Dangote can declare billions today, trillions, but Dangote business is a retail business. So I want us to consider and look at everything like that in the retail mindset. So when you're approaching the business plan, you have to look at it in terms of your sales, in terms of your operating expenses, in terms of your net. That is what we should look out for. In the net, sometimes the money that is left, we can further discount and say, okay, your revenue is 10 million, your operating expense is 7 million, your net is 3 million. If I know that that particular business has volatility or is dangerous, I can further discount that 3 million and say, for every net cash flow I see, I will only take 70% of that net cash flow, which means I will discount and I'll be taking maybe 2 point something, maybe 2.1, and saying, because this business has a lot of volatility, I won't consider all the net cash flow. And this takes me to school. If you're at school, you can apply, because we will not look at school like we look at every other business. We will look at the timing and the seasonality of their cash flow. Very, very important. So school, majority of the cash flow will come 3 times in a year. First time, second time, third time. So when you're looking at that free cash flow or that turnover, it is that period of peak. And when we are booking the loan for a school, instead of the school to pay every month, the school will pay 3 times a year. Very, very, very critical for a school. You understand? Also, another thing that is critical for you to know, not because of this loan alone, it's for other type of loan and what people will be looking at. There's what we call the sensitivity of your cash flow or the seasonality. So somebody makes 100,000 in January, 100 in February. In March, 10 million. The next 8 months, you see 2 million. And in December, 5 million. That particular cash flow is haphazard. And the seasonality raises a question. If you give such a person a term loan like that, it is dangerous because it might default in a lot of months. So you need to understand the sensitivity of that and sensitivity of that cash flow when they make money, and those things is essential. So they will be looking at the sensitivity of your cash flow as well. Critical for this credit, and it's also critical for any credit you want to do anywhere in the future. They will look at those things. And finally, I'll talk a bit about working capital. Working capital in this context is that they said is a maximum of 1 year and is not renewable and is an overdraft. So for you to be able to pay a lot of overhead. So I have a school, I have a catering, I have an hotel. So the working capital is a maximum of 25% of the average turnover that you have in 2 years. If you don't, in 3 years, if you don't have that, we use your account statement for 2 years. So let's say your average turnover is 10 million per year. 2.5 million naira will be given as for the people that want overdraft working capital. Now, this is the danger of overdraft. It's booked on your current account. You can draw it, but it's the amount you utilize, that is what you pay in interest. The problem with most people for overdraft is that you withdraw the overdraft, there's no money that is coming in. So if you are not the kind of person that sells, and your cash conversion cycle, that when you sell, money come back to you within days, 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, maximum 1 month, it is not advisable for you to take a working capital overdraft, which this is. If not, you will have what we call an hardcore overdraft, and it will be there, they will be coming after you. So it is essential that the people that get in regular money or that their cash flow cycle is consistent and very short, and they sell a lot cash and carry, not really on credit, or their credit sales is no more than 7 days or 14 days. Those are the people that overdraft working capital is good for. So I just need to put that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Jerry. You've really touched on so many things. So someone has been asking repeatedly that he applied for the business plan on the website for 2 months ago, but he hasn't gotten feedback, till now. I think you already touched on it, that 2 months ago, this particular
That's
intervention,
active, right? 2 months ago.
It wasn't active. This came up like last month.
Okay, because I promised, I said I was going to talk about Actimis before I leave.
So you're going to talk about...
I don't know. A lot of people have been kept on this call for a long time.
Okay.
Maybe you could ask them if they want to hear the Actimis in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, because maybe people I could just...
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead. We are also we are one of the EDI, right? You know, so we need the
They
information.
they do, please.
Okay. Oh, all right. What did you say, Adenike? You said we should.
They want to hear about AXMIS. So they really do. Please,
They
please
want to
do.
hear. Okay,
Yes,
good.
please.
All right. I'm going to briefly talk about AXMIS. So AXMIS is the agribusiness small and medium enterprise investment scheme. It's and one of the critical intervention funds provided by the Bankers Committee. The Bankers Committee, like you know, is a combination of the entire Deposit Money Bank as well as the Central Bank of Nigeria. The AXMIS fund is 5% of the profit, and they set that aside every year to be able to fund startup and existing businesses across 16 to 17 sectors of the economy, ranging from agriculture, food production, healthcare, creative, media, publishing, some ICT, a lot of that, but education is not part of it. Now, the maximum loan, like we know, is 10 million and up to 10 million, and the maximum tenor is up to 7 years. The interest rate is actually 9%. But you know, for those who already have it, we are likely to reduce for the next 1 year 5% based on CBN directive. Now, before today and before last year, July, AXMIS, I need to give us this background because of the misconception about AXMIS. AXMIS is actually done by all the deposit money bank in Nigeria. Because of the stress and the manual application and everything, the bank will look at it that, okay, this money we have already set it aside. People are coming, we don't know if they will even pay back very well. So they didn't put a lot of, in terms of, you know, they have to make profit. So people were applying. So in 3 years, the CBN approved Entrepreneurship Development Institute were training. Now, within that period, even the Entrepreneurship Development Institute, the majority of them became Lord over all. So they tell applicant that without me, you can never get this loan. So some exploit applicants. Names we tell now. They will tell them to write business plan at 400,000 naira. I mean, those are a lot of issues. And people had applied 2 years, they haven't gotten anything. And you have to do your interviews. The day they call you to CBN branch, that day is a miracle. You go there. So July last year, the central bank governor decided that I'm withdrawing AXMIS from every other deposit money bank, and I'm giving it to NISA Microfinance Bank, which is like an intervention bank, to now control and disburse and deal with. Now, they now gave us every application they were able to collate in a database, 30,000. So we now started working with it. In October 1, we gave a gift to the nation and we launched the online application portal because we feel that manual will not work. Because today you see thousands and our people were trying to scan. When I joined, I said, this cannot continue. Fortunately, then also my MD is a techie person and we all went online. But the 30,000, out of that, about 6,068 was eventually approved 27th of November last year. In December, I don't know if some of you might be there, we disbursed about 14.7 billion to almost 5,000 people. Now, what did we do next? People started applying and we say, all those manual applications I left is gone. If you feel you are trained and you didn't get anything, go online, select where you have trained before, and let them give you your, you have your certificate, and go ahead. When you go ahead, finish your loan application and your business plan, and you'll be invited. A lot of people left that and they did not want to do anything. people started applying online. If any of you will agree with me, on the 24th of January, we called Enterprise Development Institute to all come to Abuja for us to be able to give update. Until we found out that a lot of EDIs, if applicants apply, they will say they were to complete their loan application on their behalf then and also complete their business plan. They held applicants to ransom. So January this year, we gave applicants the free hand to be able to go themselves after the training, update with their certificate, put their training code, complete their business plan using either the optional paid for or the one they can do for free. And once that is done, we downloaded on January 29. The whole of February, we did interview. And from those February, week 1 interview has been approved, and those are the people they've been disbursing to from March 13th. Week 2 is currently with the governor to approve. That's been approved. Week 3 is going any moment from now. From the people who we downloaded in February, March, 16,500 was supposed to start application and interview. They have scheduled by date, we are location, and we're not using the CBN location. We're using all NISA Microfinance Bank, including the head office. As we speak, we had to halt that on the 2nd of April for 16,450 people because of the pandemic. But what are we now doing? We are now saying today we have met, what best can we do? Any location that is not under lockdown, we want to extract them from that list and be able to see how we can get their applications done and their interviews done. So it is critical and it's important for us to know that for AXMIS, the startup, I will advise you go towards AXMIS. For the long term of the loan, I'll advise you do that. For Faith Foundation, I want you to guide your people as they apply. One of the things we have updated on the portal is that if the application is submitted, it will hit Faith Foundation portal that say, this person's application will be submitted. If the person is interviewed, the person will be updated and Faith Foundation will know. If they've approved, Faith Foundation will know. If they disburse, they will know. Because we are activating what we call a BDSP model, Business Development Service Provision, to be able to guide and handhold this set of people for the AXMIS. So it is essential that we know that all of us that have submitted, we will be called for interview. If not for this pandemic, you should have gotten your SMS. If this is over and we don't, because of Lagos, and you have applied, and they send out SMS, and you did not get, and you are not being interviewed, I want you to report it to Faith Foundation. Tell Akin, tell Nika, they will get in contact with us. We'll be able to look at that because they're a major strategic partner in this particular program. So I just gave a summary. I don't know if there are specific questions or 3 questions that I can answer on the AXMIS.
Hey, thank you very much, Jerry, for that broad and robust overview that you provided. So, okay, this is just a comment. So some of us are in food business that are on lockdown. You can come for interview, you schedule interview. Well, okay, that's just a comment. That's a comment. Let me see. Okay, so someone is asking that, can applications still be made for that now, even though the focus is on COVID?
AXMIS is on now. Just go online. Once you see, click AXMIS, go. Once you apply, you choose a training center. In fact, what we have also done is to tell all our training partner EDIs to go and continue online training so that this pandemic is not stopping people from applying. So what will happen is that they finish their training, they complete their business plan, submit their application, so that the next schedule of interview after this, they just add them immediately. We don't want this to stop training and application.
Okay, so is business plan also?
Plan is not wait for AXMIS. No, it's not wait for AXMIS. You must do business plan because you want to start a business, you want to expand, and it is critical. It's just like Antonio Lumelu, you say business plan is waived. It's not waived.
Okay, so is it possible to use the same simplified credit platform for AXMIS business plan?
You will see it once you go, you click business plan. When you finish your training, you go back into the platform, you go and put your training code, then it open up business plan for you. Then you select, you see simplified credit. You see there, because we discovered that they were charging people 300,000, for God's sake. Somebody that is about to start a new business, somebody that want to expand business, you say, come and pay 350,000, 300,000, 150. So we're looking for partners that can crash. And if you have ever used the simplified credit, when we evaluated a lot, we saw that and we're able to appeal to them that they would get a lot of people. Let them just try and bring it, I mean, very cheap, 5,000. But when you look at the document at the end of the day, it's something that you can use for 100, 200 million naira loan. You can use that business plan anywhere in the world. We had to evaluate that before we allowed it on the platform.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So last question, is it possible to use the pension, pension accounts as collateral for this COVID-19 loan?
Yeah, somebody called me. That's, I mean, for me, a pension, in fact, when I heard that person, I said, tell me about your collateral. The person gets a pension of 1.1 M per month. He gets a dividend of 4.6 M in another stuff. I mean, when the person put the combination of what he got for our school, I said, please go ahead and apply.
Wow.
So I mean, when I was in the banking industry, we give loans to pensioners as well, because if you work in a very serious organization before and your pension is consistent, that should not stop you. I mean, it shouldn't.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you're a pensioner, you can also apply for Axmis as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.